With the word enlighten, the word darkness comes along. With the very word light, the contrast comes along. And as the matter of fact, this contradiction of light and the dark, this contradiction of any sort of duality comes with selection of one of these two states. So when you say of enlighten, there is also a word that's coming within called endarken. So in daily lives of each and every human beings, which is full of dualities in every possible angles, in every possible situation, in every possible moment. And just like the ultimate truth, there is a state, and the ultimate truth is never and never the states of what mind thinks is truth. For the mind, many things can be truth, many things can be false, and it is this very mind which thinks of enlightenment, which thinks of enlightening, and for this very mind, to think of enlightening means that there is something in the background which is dark. And in the contrast of this darkness of one's own life, the mind starts seeking enlightenment. So these are the states in which one resonates throughout the life. Whenever one says and thinks of happiness, the sadness lingers in the background, in the bottom. It is always there. The happiness resides in contrast of sadness, and sadness resides in contrast of happiness. One cannot live without the other. To make sense of the happiness, one needs to go through the suffering of the sadness. Then only a little light in this state of mind, in this state of being, seems to be in the state of happiness. And therefore, it is common for a suffering mind to seek for the states of happiness. It is very common for the mind to do so. For the mind to jump into the opposite, it is very common. And when one starts entering the state of vairagya, the state of ultimate boredom, and which of course goes through the suffering first, because suffering ends up bringing one into the state of vairagya. There are two states of vairagya. One, the earthly, the material plane, the material dimension, what we call our daily life. And if we are frustrated with that very daily life, it's vairagya in the material sense. And there is a deeper meaning to vairagya, which ultimately leads one to one's own self. And it is a long path. For the normal mind of this time and space on this planet, at this point in time, the normal mind has a long way to go to reach to the core, to reach to the self, to reach to the state where it is seen that the one exists in contrast with the other. And just like the existence of both parties, be it in contrast, the existence simply is visible. Just like when one thinks of enlighten, one thinks of wanting to become enlightened and also sees of the darkness behind. and also sees of the shadows one comes up with, and also sees through all the negative experiences one has gone through. And there is a possibility of complete acceptance to these experiences, these stories, these shadows. And this very acceptance is the key to turning the shadow into light. It does not mean that the shadow does not exist. It exists, but now you have seen it. Now you have realized it. And this is different kind of light. This is far beyond the daily light and dark that we go on discussing about. Not just light and dark, the goodness and badness, the crime and the justice, every sorts of possible dualities. They only resolve in this light from where it is seen that they exist and is accepted as the part of the existence itself. True that in the moment of happiness, the sadness is forgotten, and in the moment of sadness, the happiness is forgotten. But the both states exists in one's being, one's core. And with enough practice, the switching between the two states is very easy. Switching between the rasas is very easy. For example, we were going to Landruk with a few elderly people, and one of the guru in Dervish Sufism was with us in the same bus. So we were obviously bored. We wanted to spend a good amount of time not worrying about the road, which was pretty bad. So the Murshid started playing a game called Three Things. And in the game, each one had to quickly, without thinking, obviously some thinking will be there, but very quickly tell three things, and there could be different topics that each one gave to the other. First one started giving, so three things you like to eat when you are hungry. And then it went on like that. It was fun for a while. And then a topic was changed. So Murshid introduced second topic, in which he asked, what bothers you the most? What makes you angry? Three things that makes you angry, and then the question was circulated. And the topic started going in the direction of negativity, suffering. And soon we realized the atmosphere of the whole bus was negative, tensed, because all of us now started to think about our own vulnerabilities, our own anger, our own dissatisfaction of different things in life. And the whole environment started seeing suffering, down. So we realized it and then quickly turned the topic to happening ones, to the lively ones. Then again the tone of the bus was changed. The mood of each and every people traveling in the bus was changed. So there are ways, there are techniques to switch the rasa, the experience of rasa in the body, in the biopsycho-emotional body. And it is seen and it is possible to see that this kind of light that sees through is neither dark nor light as in the sense of mind. Therefore, the mind seeks enlightenment, the mind wants to attain something, the mind wants to dive into something and realize something. Mind wants anything that there is in the universe for itself. It wants to have something, and ultimately this having is the value one puts himself or herself into his or her own lives. And what value can one gather from anything? And the values are gathered by mind according to things it has lived, according to its memories. It gathers values on the things maybe his father told, maybe his mother told, maybe his best friend told, maybe his favorite political leader told. She gathers ideas, emotions from various sources and manifests a reality of his or her own, failing to realize the existence of duality. Hence, a world full of suffering, misunderstanding. This state is darkness. This misunderstanding is darkness. If there is a new moon night and someone is trapped inside a very pitch dark room, that is not the darkness. That is the state of minimal light in this very planet. The actual darkness is the psychological darkness. The actual darkness always sees suffering even in the happiness. And the actual lightness sees light even in the darkness. And in this sense, there are two prime categories put by some seers, some seekers, some mystics in the East. They call them Raj and Shyama, the existence and the non, or the realization of what exists and what does not exist, and the existence of both existing and non-existing, because non-existing also exists. It just is not in the main experience of a human mind at a given point in time. So it appears that whatever one can see from these five sense organs are reality. Whatever it hears and corresponds with its own mind is truth, and which does not correspond with contradicts his or her mind seems to be false. So the realization, the knowing of both states, just that, no words to be given, enlightenment has become even more sellable, a big planetary, global meme these days. So every meme has a value and the mind wants to grab any meme. It sees in Facebook, it follows a meme. It sees in society, it follows the meme. So there is the cricket season, it's a bigger meme. And then a lot of people go cricket, cricket, cricket. There is a Dasai, another bigger meme. So everyone goes Dasai, Dasai, Dasai. So it's a collective thing, meme, a collective story. And there are many stories one can live. So in the process of living any stories one likes, there are two paths one can take. The first is the normal, the obvious, the external world, which is important because as we are born, we depend on this physical world 100% to survive. Except for humans, there are very few organisms who take quite a time to develop into its full adulthood, full reproductive stage into which it can continue the life. So a human being takes quite a long time to arrive. It needs care, it needs love, it needs feeding, it needs a lots of things to survive. So the external world starts appearing very important. And it is, because my existence in this world at this point in time is very much dependent in your existence. For example, in this very moment, the one who is speaking and the one who is listening has a certain role, a certain connection. Both are external to themselves, the speaker and the listener, and within themselves they know that each other is external. So the external world is there. and has a very important role even in understanding the state of what one calls enlightenment. The external world is very much involved in the process. So one can go understanding the world, its rules, its regulations, because humans are otherwise basically very angry monkeys. They need taming, and the whole society does the job, the community does the job of taming a person into certain something. So it gives its values, its ideas, its goodness, its badness, its ideals, its religion, its language, it gives everything that one requires to go through life. And at a certain age it becomes such a state that one has the option on taking or not of the things people give, the society gives, anything gives. So one of the state is the outer world. One of the state is the external world. And obviously, one sees that there is the external world, and one realizes suffering in this external world, and it is possible for the mind to think that there is an inner world in which there is no suffering. And this is not true, because as one enters the inner world, the suffering becomes very much intense, so much intense that the physical world starts seeming safe, because the inner world, the journey in the inner world will definitely eliminate the sense of self. So this energy that goes inside of the one's self, one's inner world, or outside of one's inner world, this thing that travels is consciousness. And whenever there is no suffering in the inner world, when everything is accepted, every possibility is accepted, every memories are accepted, then the relaxation that comes in the inner world reflects as the relaxation in the outer world. But no matter whether one goes in the inner world and explores its vastness, and goes in the outer world and explores in its vastness, one can only be here and now. So there is no inner world and no outer world per se, as such. Now again, this is the division of the mind to try to see, to try to understand. Even when the eyes are open, the inner world can see the external world. And that is the complete presence of the practitioner, of the yogi, of whoever is witnessing this world. If witnesses through complete presence, the outer, the inner, the suffering, the happiness, the goodness, the badness, everything seems existing as part of this grand reality. And in this grand reality, as the lightness and the darkness becomes part of one, both are gone, yet both are. And this is the paradox. This is the puzzle. And this paradox, this puzzle starts with you. Because you were born in this external world, you realize the external world, and then the mind starts developing, which furthermore focuses itself into the external world. And when you grow up, you realize that the external world is only that there is. And then when someone is bored or starts hearing of the internal world, just like the things they want to accumulate in the external world, the idea in the mind comes that maybe I can accumulate something in the inner world. And therefore the idea of karma rises, the idea of accumulation of merits rises. And when the inner world and the outer world are gone, the karma is gone. The papa is gone, the punya is gone. The sin is gone, the virtue is gone. The day is gone, the night is gone. the seeker is gone, the sikt is gone, the speaker is gone, the listener is gone. So basically every kind of search the mind looks for ultimately brings mind to the point that it realizes that actually in fact there is nowhere else to go but here and now. Every path is for the mind to make itself realize that that is not it. Or when realized, it knows that that was also it, therefore now I am here. Just like your suffering past, just like your past full of misery. And those past is what makes you now, here and now. And every here and now has all the possibility of creating, starting anew. Just like the existence creating itself every moment. So when one talks about enlightenment, what does one mean? Enlightenment, as if there is no darkness, the presence of darkness in the universe. There is the presence of darkness in the universe. So the presence is light. Your complete presence at here and now is your light, is you. So you cannot see yourself, therefore you require other. Make use of the external world. Because we are here, we need each other. I heard that for me to define myself, I need to define you. Without you, there is no I. I have also heard if a certain tree fell in a forest and nobody heard, did it really fall? To your universe, to your experience, it did not fall unless you go and check. So if you do not know your entire life of certain things, you go unnoticed. Even if the thing could be full of happiness or full of sadness, you're unaware. And just like the duality of light and dark, awareness and unawareness, both are gone, both are none. They're just the stories of the mind. Just like it wants to attach with something to survive, it will just simply attach itself with anything to survive. And hence, just like the light and the dark, just like the you and the I, just like the creation and the destruction, everything is but a story manifested in a certain net, a certain matrix called Maya. And here we are. Therefore, forget about external world, forget about internal world. As one starts forgetting, as one starts letting go of even these marathons of spiritual understanding, attainment, enlightenment, even this should be dropped. And when everything is dropped, you are already there. You are what you look for. You are actually trying to find a way to look at yourself. Therefore, you go about thinking of the inner world and the outer world. But right where you are, just like going to sleep, right where you are, if you let go completely of yourself, you have arrived. Because you never left. You were always there. And you always will be. So everything is truth. And in the civilization of humans, which started from different forms of lives, from the sea to ultimately becoming human, the whole thing is one giant civilization. Even before the humans were there, even way before there were no any living organisms in the planet, the whole process of arriving into this point in time is a giant civilization called the civilization of Vishnu or Vishnu Sabhyata. So here in this existence, in this civilization, this cosmic civilization, everything is truth. Satya Narayana. As far as you can see the existence, as far as you can see within your experiences, without your experiences, everything is a greater truth. And this greater truth is called reality. For example, the reality show. The reality show and every reality of every mind living in current world is in a big story. It is true, it is happening, people believe what they believe, people have faith in what they have faith in. Ultimately, these are stories too. And life is a story worth living. And therefore we are here in the first place. And we have freedom of making whatever story we want to make for our own lives. Take life simply as a vacation and relax. The more one is relaxed, the more one arrives. So the question of enlightenment, and people even ask, how long do I have to meditate to become enlightened? What kriyas should I do to become enlightened? Because enlightenment has become a global fashion today, everyone wants it. And just by wanting, this is the only thing that is impossible to get by wanting. Everything material can be gained one way or the other. But this light, this state of understanding of the light. And this light is not seen by these two eyes. The two eyes of the human body sees a certain frequency of light. And when it closes, the world is not seen and it thinks that the world is gone, no more, and emptiness remains. But as one goes on closing the eyes for a longer period of time, realizes the flow of lights inside. Faint lights, also a process of body. As it starts releasing a certain chemical in the mind, lights are seen in the eyes. And there are shamans and there are practitioners who go for a week, a 10 days, a 15 days, sitting in the darkness. And when that is done, a next state of light is seen, even more pouring in of lights in the visual sensation. Inner world is starting to see in more lights. But just as this world is an illusion, the inner world also is an illusion. And nobody tells you that. Because inner lights, inner world, inner experiences, jumping into dimensions, seeing, meeting fairies, this and that seems very much interesting to human mind. It has always been. Therefore the mind creates heaven with all the gods and huge temples and this and that, and creates hell with all the details. They exist. It is possible to jump into dimensions. It is possible to gain siddhis, gain beyond human capabilities of energies and powers, what people call supernatural powers. When the right time comes, the humanity will also see that. But that even is part of a story. As the external world came in with a story, the inner world also came in with a story, and they grew side by side together. The only thing that just didn't go about right, or cannot be said right or wrong, is that humans forgot to look in the inner world and only started looking outer world. And that's it. And that's the world we are living in today. But again, As much as the outer world is illusion and Maya, the inner world is equally illusion and Maya. The only place is here, the only time is now, the only being that exists is the one witnessing from you and me and each one of this family of conscious beings. And all eyes are one, just like the multiple eyes of a spider brings the visuals into its center nervous system, and it combines the vision, just like our two eyes combines the vision and we see into the world. It is just like that. The whole world, the whole humanity is one consciousness. And in this one consciousness, and in this light is completely different light than the one eyes are tuned to see. And even the third eye is tuned to see. After 10 to 15 days of darkness, the inner eye starts seeing the lights, visuals, many things, and everything is the projection of inner mind, the deeper mind. Unless the mind is completely gone, duality is there, and the real light is never seen. And the real light is experienced, is seen, is witnessed, is lived in certain subtleness that only exists in this tiny moment, this here and now, and is gone. As we speak, it's gone. It slips away. We realize this is it and it's gone. This very moment is such precious, and this is only what we have. It is the only thing that exists. It is the only thing that can be realized. All the other realizations are ladders to arrive to this point. All the religions are paths to arrive to this point. All the rituals, all the practices, everything a human mind has devised to do in this world can be a marga, a path. So, when that happens, everything you do is a karma yoga. Such simpleness, such simplicity of life that it's relaxed. It has dropped its stories of wanting this, wanting that. It has just taken a deep sigh and just is there, present. And whenever one realizes this presence of here and now, it is immediately seen that Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Guru Rajneesh, Guru Nanak, Guru Ma Parvati, Shiva, all of these beings, all of these what we call deities, or some believe them to be non-deities, some believe them to be a form of just like us humans who are born and realized. So everyone and the knowledge of everyone who have always been in the present moment arrives to the one coming in the present. It becomes such simple for the whole existence to flow the knowledge to the being who has arrived to here and now. So it is normal for the person to see Shiva right in front of him. It is normal for the person to see Mahabharata as it is happening, as Krishna is speaking. It is possible for a person to see the Virat Swarupa, and again, all of these are stories of the greater being, a multi-greater being, a being than our mind, our body, our humanity. It's a bigger story. It is possible to experience however one wants to experience the life. And there are ways one can go about to experience these things. And these things were called mysticism before and were hidden. These were esoteric knowledge before and were hidden. And now slowly starting to come out for a greater humanity, for a global population. Before it was in the hand of a few, now it's now spreading because it is the ultimate truth. It is the Sanatan truth. It forever exists. It will exist because it is happening in here and now, and whoever arrives to here and now quickly grasps all the information of this universe in this way. So the mind can only think of it, only imagine of it. And what attends is not mind. It is the state of no mind which is wrongly translated as meditation. Meditation is a myth. Enlightenment is a myth. Whatever one wants is already there, each moment. And the whole thing is one. And you're it. You're it, Maya. You're it. It does not matter how much story you want to live. Go on living and ultimately your mind will bring you to here and now itself. The process of you letting go the stories of mind is what I call second step, dosra paila. Even if you don't do that, the mind will pull you through such a living of this life and maybe beyond these lives, but ultimately it is bound for a seed of life to flower. The seed of life is destined to ultimately flower. Therefore, cosmic presence and cosmic patience. And in no time, one realizes that one's ultimate patience itself changes into a state of bliss, and no more words, nothing to say, no stories to make. And you are here and you are now, and you are the consciousness. And whatever you can see is the consciousness, because the extension of everything is consciousness. The stretch of this consciousness is Tantra, and it is stretched into the infinity. And this is the magic of the creation, Maya. This is the magic of this reality. This much for today.